22 jobs, one at a time. This is Backlog Buster's Final Fantasy V Single Job Challenge series. The core rule is to only use the assigned job. I'll be forced to go jobless using Freelancer until the assigned job becomes available. As soon as the job unlocks, I'll switch out of Freelancer and be locked into that job for the rest of the game, for better or for worse. I'll be doing my best to see the majority of the optional content, but it's going to depend on the individual job for some of it. As an additional challenge, I'm going to try and beat the game at as low a level as possible, and to minimize grinding, though some grinding is likely inevitable. Other than that, there are no restrictions. All equipment, game mechanics, and strategies are available to beat the game and see the credits. Working through that lengthy list one by one, this time I'll be playing the last real job, White Mage. Just gonna pick up Lennon Galoof and then get captured by pirates? But a secret locket convinces the captain to join the team. Then head straight to the Wind Shrine. Just kidding! I'm grinding outside of Tool because, my friend, we need to have a little chat. White Mage is in a very unique position. It has incredible support and healing capability, but virtually zero damage output. The challenge technically doesn't start until I unlock White Mage, and even though the Wind Crystal's already busted, I haven't picked up the shard yet. So I'm gonna abuse Freelancer's ability to use swords while the getting's good. I'm picking up 4 swords in Tool, and sure, the white magic too, since I'm here. Now I'm heading to the Wind Shrine to grind for an extremely long time. I'm after levels, but you know what? I'll take as many elixirs as I can get my grubby little paws on from those mold winds. One-shotting enemies is pretty cool. The second I swap to White Mage, my damage is going to tank and become borderline useless, so I'll see you guys in a little bit. Here we are, one micro-eternity later. I feel like this should be okay. Let's mosey. Wing Raptor did not stand a chance. Completely cooked. There's the crystal shards. It's time to give up all of my worldly possessions and choose a life dedicated to the Lord. Just kidding. Welcome to hell, boys. Let's just go ahead and see how bad it really is with those staves from Tool. Even after that absurd grinding session, the damage is absolutely pathetic. Should have grinded even longer as Freelancer after all. The Wind Shrine is my home now. I've spent so long in here that the party's level 16. That's gotta be enough. Back to Tool? I'm talking to Zuck and grabbing the canal key. I've got the cure spell and a dream. Let's do this, Carlabos. 24 to 50 damage could be a heck of a lot worse, honestly. Paralysis is an annoying status effect, but I'm in this for the long haul. Tailscrew is usually horrifying for any other job, but for once in my life, I actually have healing magic. All it takes is one cure and Lena's back in tip-top shape. In fact, she can just go ahead and keep spamming cure. More paralysis coming out, but with this much healing, it really doesn't matter how long this fight takes. This is Survivor rules now. Outwit, outplay, and most importantly of all, outlast. I don't know if that's still the slogan. I stopped watching after Season 2. Sildra's sucked into the void, and my ship's getting sucked into the ship graveyard. What? Ghosts? Oh no! I'm gonna stand here and contemplate the meaning of life. Ooh, secret rocks for secret treasure chests. This may be the single greatest chest in all of Single Job Challenge history. It contains the basic flail. This flail is the one, quote-unquote, real weapon I get access to for the entirety of Bartz's world. Flails have the exact same damage formula as axes. That means horrendous accuracy and swingy damage output. At the very least, it does have an armor penetration property. Oh yeah, and back row? Okay, baby. So everyone's going in the back row, now and forever, for even more survivability. The flail's on Bartz, but you know, the enemies in here are all undead, so offensive curing, go! I really should have just grinded here instead, but Grug mode is in full force, and honestly, it's really annoying to manually target everything with cure. Finally out of that water. Ferris over here having a little gender reveal party, and the most insane part of that is that nothing exploded. I've reached the end of the ship graveyard, exorcising all undead along the way. Now it's time for Siren, who opens up by silencing Bartz. Disgusting. Get bonkin', boys! The damage is honestly kind of respectable right up until she uses Protect. Oh, come on, man. I thought my days of 10 damage a hit were behind me after Bart. But sneaky Siren over here was undead the whole time. That sounds like a job for the cure spell. I'm performing one last exorcism and getting the heck out of here. God, White Mage is good against undead enemies. I sure hope they don't completely dry up for the rest of the game. I've arrived in Carwin, which means I can get some new gear and spells. Silence and Protect. Alright, we survival maxing for real. But is there any damage output anywhere to be seen? No new rods, no flails, nothing? Alright, Bartz, I'm putting all my faith in your little flail after all. At least I can get some new armor. Then I picked up the standard consumables. I'm climbing up the North Mountain incredibly slowly. I've got to bonk everything to death over the course of a dozen turns. Magisa shows up with her silly little poison dart, and Lena's poisoned once again. I'm thinking I can cure that with white magic, but first I gotta see if silence does anything. Interesting. It landed. How useful will that actually be? Who knows? There is no chance I kill Magisa before Forza shows up, so may as well prepare for that. I'm getting Protect on the whole party. Oh joy, the lowly staves are back hitting for 10 damage. I really am just putting all of my faith in Bartz and his flail, aren't I? Silence kept Magisa from spamming some spells, but I'm not concerned about her damage, I'm concerned about my damage. Here's Forza and Regen. Normally I'd tell you that Regen is garbage, but against my garbage damage output, this actually may be a huge problem. The white mages have fallen into a rhythm. Bartz, Lena, and Galoof attack. Ferris cures everybody. This is like sub 100 damage a combat round, but remember, outwit, outplay, outlast. As soon as silence breaks on Magisa, I reapply it. Then the combat grind resumes. This took absolutely forever, but I managed to bonk Forza to death. Now that Magisa's on her own, she's going to suffer the bonketing. One healer is enough to offset her spells. She's toasted. Did you ever expect such a struggle against Magisa? Surely a taste of what's to come. Oh, a whip. Unusable for white mage, of course it is. Now for a classic Lena moment, getting poisoned. Hang on, is Hiryu a white mage too? How's that dragon curing poison? We'll talk about this later, I gotta go. From the North Mountain straight to Tycoon Castle. I'm after the fabulous secret treasures inside. God, could you imagine if I could use the Ashura? Hell, I'd take the lowly Diamond Bell at this point. No, I'm here exclusively for the healing staff. With it, I can beat off my dudes for free healing. Which honestly is probably the last thing I need at the moment. My kingdom for some damage output. Alright, that's done. Down to waltz. I ran down to the basement and snagged the elf cape for even more survivability. Jackanapes are really scary, but with Protect and the Cure spell, I managed to run away from them. King Waltz, you already know about the meteor. These NPCs are really speeding this along after 19 runs. The Waltz Tower's enemies are annoying to fight, so I'm running from everything. The mange-ridden mammoth Garula rears his ugly head. Garula only uses physical attacks, huh? Well, I'm already in the back row, I've got an elf cape, and Protect's on. That's a very neutered Garula. Sub 30 damage a hit is simply not scary at all. But for some reason I'm still terrified of double counters, so I'm exclusively attacking with Bartz and his flail. Everyone else is standing around, waiting. Lena got the healing staff so she can beat off anyone who does get hit. If things get too scary once double counters come in, well, I can just start spamming the cure spell. Garula was defeated surprisingly easily. The fight just took forever. God, I would take any one of these jobs right about now. But I can't, so let them all sink to the bottom of the ocean. I'm getting my body ripped apart so I can be teleported to Karnak. Finally, some new weapons. Well, I say that, but it's just that I can buy more flails. Yes, they're the same as the lowly 13 attack power flail that Bartz has been using this whole time. This is my best and only weapon for the foreseeable future. But now, there's 4 of them. You Karnakians couldn't have made like a mithril flail? Loaded up on 4 flails and new armor in Karnak. I went to the magic shop and snagged Cura, Raise, and Confuse. Who knows? Maybe Confuse will do something. My damage output, even with my best available weapon, is complete trash. You know that you're hard up when it's taking multiple hits to kill a single knack. I have no confidence in being able to beat Liquid Flame, and I have genuine concerns about being able to even complete the escape from Karnak Castle like this. It's time for yet another grinding session. Typical for most single job challenges since Karnak's a great place to tune up, but this is already a ridiculous amount of grinding. I'm hoping I can eventually hit some level breakpoints where my damage actually scales up just a little bit, but I know in my heart of hearts it's just not gonna happen. All levels are really going to accomplish is increasing my HP and MP for even more survivability. I'm gonna have to double, then triple down on outlasting. This may seem excessive, but I understand the realities of a lot of these challenge runs. At level 30, it was finally time to go. What took me so long? Sid, bro, have you tried killing anything with these flails? They say he's the world's smartest man. I fought enough garbage, so I'm racing straight to meet Queen Karnak and her Liquid Flame. How can you even fight fire anyways? Quick, Confuse maybe? Oh my god, it worked. That's gonna at least buy me some time to get Protect up on everyone. But before Ferris gets it, Liquid Flame slugs itself for 90 damage, breaking Confuse. Hang on, 90 damage? That's more than I can do. Get confused again, idiot! Ferris finally gets Protect up, but I'm not sure I even need it anymore. There's a little bit of a nuance to Confuse, because when Liquid Flame hits himself, he doesn't shift form. All I need to do is chain cast Confuse and let him beat himself to death. I will simply choose Pacifism this time, and probably this time only. Every single time Liquid Flame breaks out, I slam another Confuse on him. That goofy little Chocobo's my best friend for this fight. Confuse does whiff occasionally, but I've got 4 white mages ready to set it. And Kira if any damage actually does come my way. Liquid Flame has a whopping 3000 HP to cut through. At 90 to 100 damage a hit, this is a long fight. But before you know it, Liquid Flame's beaten himself off. To death, bro. Pretty surprising. Maybe I didn't need to do all that grinding after all. But the fire crystals blowed up, and I gotta cheese it out of Karnak. White Mage and Monk are the only jobs who can't use the Franchius main gauche, so I'm not gonna grab it. And to be brutally honest, my physical defenses are already off the chain in the back row with Protect. I doubt I actually need the Elf Cape either. Nope, I'm heading straight to the exit this time around. Well, first I'm grabbing this chest because it contains the white magic Esuna. The sorcerers were beaten to death easily, but it did take a while. Now I'm out of here for real. I'll just beat up the first 2 wolves real quick and then get Protect on. I am a lowly coward, and I don't want to deal with Iron Claw. I'm keeping 1 wolf alive and then beating the sergeant to death. Afterwards, that last wolf can die too. And I really am out of here. All except 1 treasure of Karnak skipped. It feels so wrong. But here are the first set of fire crystal jobs. Ah, precious memories. After cruising out of Karnak, I probably worked myself up over nothing. But let's see if that's true down in the ancient library. Yeah, well, walking into the ancient library at level 30 was a great idea. Love getting clipped by level 5 death. That has not happened in a long time. Okay, new plan. Just run straight down to Ifrit. God bless the knowledge granted to me by Geomancer only. Because now, I know that Ifrit's vulnerable to Confuse. Get in here, you goofy little Chocobo. I'm confusing Ifrit and getting Protect on the gang. I really don't want to run Ifrit out of MP, so beating his brain in it is. Good thing that Blaze isn't considered a spell and also doesn't use MP. Had me worried for a second that this would be too easy. Cure 2 really coming in clutch. I can just have a dedicated Cure spammer while everyone else whips their flails around all over the place. Once my Cure spammer gets low on MP, someone else can take up the mantle. I've got 4 white mages with hundreds of collective MP. As long as my MP holds out, I can keep fighting. Ifrit's 3000 HP is a lot when you're slugging him for about 100 per turn, so this is gonna take, what, 30 turns? But axe style accuracy is really fun to deal with. It took a long time, but Ifrit's bonked to death. Lena didn't even need a break from cure duty. Now to work my way to the bottom of the library for book-based boss Byblos. Have you guys ever fought Byblos for 50 minutes and lose? I sure as heck have. There's not going to be a play-by-play this time around. Byblos is just a straight-up nightmare scenario. First problem, Confuse and Silence don't work, so I'm forced to beat him to death myself. Second problem, Protect is going to come out sooner rather than later. That drops my already dumpster tier damage output by half, which I'm not happy about, but it's fine, I can deal with it. I beat Ifrit without too much effort, and Byblos just has 600 more HP. It's just going to take twice as long thanks to Protect, but it's fine. I'll be fine. But let's look at all of Byblos' other attacks. Wind Slash is a cure attack, and physicals aren't really scary being in the back row with Protect. But here's problem attack number 1. Byblos has Magic Hammer, which reduces my MP by half. That means he's going to run my MP out over the course of the fight. The only strength white mages have is outlasting the enemy, and now he's got my MP on a timer. Problem attack number 2, Discord. Discord halves your level. I'm going from a zesty, spry level 30 to 15 to 7 to 3 to 1. This fight is going to take so long that all of my characters are going to be reduced to level 1. It's simply inevitable. As if it's not bad enough already, next up is Slow. Even the mighty Esuna from Karnak can't cure time magic based debuffs. The whole party will eventually get nailed with Slow, which means half turns. Now all of that is really annoying, but I could probably deal with it. The biggest problem of all is that when Byblos gets to a third of his health, he'll start countering with Drain. With my shrunken level and Byblos' Protect, I will hit him for as low as 10 to 20 damage a hit. I can occasionally get a big hit of like 50 if I'm lucky, but Byblos will counter with Drain, which heals him for 180 to 300. I use the healing staff and all of my consumables to try and keep myself alive for as long as possible, but I was never able to get Byblos below 900 HP. As soon as I got any progress, an inevitable Drain counter comes out. That simply undoes all of the damage that I've dealt up until that point. White mages just can't beat Byblos like this. The only strategy I can come up with is that I have to run him out of MP. No MP means no drains. If Byblos can't use Drain, it doesn't matter if I'm level 1, slowed, confused, whatever. I can beat him to death. Omniscient, Ifrit, an attempt on Atmos, and now Byblos. There have been 4 bosses that I've been forced to run out of MP. Byblos has 1000 MP, and there's just no way I have enough MP at this stage in the game. I'm going to have to level up. But even then, Byblos is just gonna laugh at me with magic hammers and the wind/tax. Not only do I need levels, but I'm gonna have to grind a bunch of elixirs to be able to replenish my MP. I have no funny quips here. This was just a relentless grind for a disgustingly long time. So if you feel bad for me, support the channel by subscribing and liking the video. If you want to support the channel further, you can become a channel member or check out the Patreon for some bonus content. Thank you to all of my blessed Buster boys. But let's get the show on the road, shall we? I'm back at Byblos at level 47. I've got a lot of elixirs too. All of my planning and preparations are for this exact moment. Everything went exactly as I predicted. I'm slowed, my levels are reduced to 1 across the board through Discord, but I finally whittled Byblos down to 900 HP through his Protect. Now every time I hit Byblos, he tries to use Protect or Drain. This is the true start of the battle. Every single Confuse, Protect, and Drain, whether it connects or not, is MP consumed. Every White Mage Flail Smack is one more chance to burn a little bit of MP. That's all I can hope for. And eventually, it finally happened. Byblos is out of MP. This took a lot of elixirs to stay alive and over an hour of slugging Byblos and eating drain counters. But just because Byblos is out of MP doesn't mean I'm out of the woods yet. I still have to carve off that final 900 HP. But if I can stay in the fight for over an hour, what's 10 more minutes? That may have been the longest and most stressful fight of any of these single job challenge runs this far. And I'm not even a third of the way through the game yet. Byblos is truly a nightmare scenario. He's the perfect storm for a job that has no damage output. The good news is now that I'm over that hurdle, the rest of the game should be pretty smooth sailing. White mages, with the cure spell, have more than enough lasting power to bash everything to death, even if it is 50 HP at a time. Sid and Mid are finally reunited. I feel like Sid solved his drinking problem not by actually dealing with it, but by drinking every single bottle of beer in Karnak. It's also a shocker that Galoof's memory hasn't fully returned yet, isn't it? With the fire ship, well, Crescent Island can wait. I'm making a detour to Istory. I have 2 million gil from all of that grinding. That's enough gil to buy anything and everything. 4 pairs of flame rings, 4 coral rings, and 4 angel rings, please. Now it's time to head to Crescent Island. Fire ship status sunk. Now to buy some new armor. Sage's surplus for silence immunity? Sure, I'll take it. Then I'm sauntering down to the forest where I'm reunited with the Black Chocobo. What a blessing that Bard got a free pass on Byblos. I can only imagine that being even worse than this was. Flying back to the ancient library, and those brainlords are dropping a thumper for the sandworm. You know, despite being level 47, I'm still a little bit concerned. But I guess I really shouldn't be. Shy Halud over here wasn't that big of a deal. I've got Cure 2 and more than enough MP to deal with pathetic little quicksands for 60 damage. Even in the back row, I'm slugging the sandworm for over 100 damage. The fight's over surprisingly quickly. Listen, anything sub 10 minutes is a miracle at this point. I've crossed the desert and fallen right into King Tycoon's trap, which is the catapult. The catapult holds a white mage secret. My patience is running pretty thin with this run, but I've got to do that goofy little segment anyways. Back and forth to finally pull the lever, and I get the mini spell. One more white magic for the road. Friendships ended with Fireship. Airship is new best friend. But who isn't my new best friend is the Crayclaw. Let's try mini, does it work? No, of course not, why would that work? How about that silly little Chocobo? Oh yeah, Confuse connected. I mean, when you've got over 2,000 health and 350 MP on Crayclaw, I think victory is kind of guaranteed. But let's go ahead and make him beat himself to death for our own amusement. Now I'm flying straight to Gone and straight back to the Brain Lords. Now straight to Tycoon Meteor for some turtle soup. Adamantoise is a little bit scary, so I'm slamming Protect. Adamantoise also has natural Protect and Shell, by the way, which means that even though I've got the Axe formula's penetrating power, I'm still hitting for anywhere from 12 to 50 damage. Truly Bardcore. Unlike with Bard only though, I have the ability to heal myself. I can easily stay alive while whittling off that 2000 HP slowly, over dozens of turns. Adamantite clad, my airship can fly higher into the sky somehow. You know what, I don't even question the Brain Lords at this point. But white mages face yet another challenge. No, I'm not even at the Soul Cannon yet. Those stupid rocket launchers and their Confuse are real problems. It'd be one thing if my confused white mages were just slapping themselves around for 15 damage a hit, but instead they're choosing to heal the cannons. How does that even work? They're machines. This turned a basically free fight of slowly smacking them around and responding to gravity attacks with Cure 2 into an incredibly lengthy and obnoxious affair. The second a Confuse connects on me, I need to heal it with Asuna, otherwise all of my damage is getting undone. Which makes these fights even longer than my usually incredibly slow pace. 40 minutes to clear the side cannons wasn't on my bingo card, but it is what it is. Now for the soul cannon itself, I have angel rings, so I don't have to worry about ult. And that's a really good thing, because I'd be sitting at level 1 just like when I was fighting Byblos. Starting off as usual is beating off the side launchers. That removes the gravity attacks from the equation. Now to get my party back up to full health with Cura, and keep them there. White Mage's avoiding the wave cannon was a pipe dream. I wasn't even able to take out the second side cannon before the first wave cannon came out. Galoof died, but I can just get him back up. Taking out that side launcher's taken too long though. I was forced to throw some elixirs. I barely killed the second side launcher before the next wave cannon. But that should mean that the fight is in the bag. Wave cannons are going to keep coming out every few turns, but I can keep 1 or 2 White Mages on Cura duty. They'll be able to get enough heals out to get above the 50% HP threshold to survive wave cannon. At the very least, the soul cannon is in the front row. That means I can smack it for my full damage, which is kind of pathetic. I've eaten so many wave cannons that Bartz alone is having trouble keeping up with healing. I had to resort to 2 healing White Mages, which tanks my damage output even further. Bartz ran out of MP, so I tagged Lena in for cure duty. I think I ate more wave cannons in this single battle than probably the entirety of this challenge run series combined. Slow and steady truly wins the race. White Mages pull out a victory over the course of 100 years. Can't tell if that was a natural victory for the White Mages or the Soul Cannon just overheated and melted itself from the inside. But inside the Ronka Ruins, I'm slowly sauntering all the way to the bottom. Oh look, it's King Tycoon. Thanks for waiting there, buddy. Let's wrestle, Archeoavis. Opening with Breathwing, huh? Well, I can deal with that. But first, Protect. Now to just slowly, and I do mean slowly, beat him to death while spamming Cura. Well, 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 look at that. White Mage is actually not doing too badly here. Being able to connect with the first form for over 100 damage a hit is impressive. It's been a heck of a lot worse. Granted, there's still the occasional very low roll, but flails are doing some work. Work that I front-loaded by grinding to level 47. Lena kept the team nice and healthy as the flail swinging took down one form after another. Then Archeoavis revived itself. His head wasn't caved in enough apparently. Maelstrom of course comes out, but I've got multiple White Mages. Just gonna put a few of them on Cura duty, and I'll refill my massive health bars. This is all while Bartz continues to bash Archeoavis' head in. You know, I may have actually wandered off for a minute, but I'm back now. Oh, Bartz is blinded, I better fix that up. Archeoavis finally dies, and stays dead this time. 10 minutes is a downright speedy fight these days, and I'm gonna take it. Kryl reunites with Galoof after exploding King Tycoon. Then the Earth Crystal shatters, revealing Extet's evil plan, and he's gone. Galoof leaves without me. Alright, this is no time to be a coward. Sid and Mid, help me find a way to Galoof's world. They're not here. Sid and Mid, help me find a way to Galoof's world. And they did. The answer was the Bartz's World Meteor World Tour. First up is the Bomb Squad at Hwalf's Meteor. Well, let's start with Protect Across the Board as number 1. I don't have Mage Mashers this time around. Oh, right, I actually have the Silence spell. Let's use that and then beat a bomb to death. Honestly, self-destructs are very welcome here. It saves a lot of time while reaching the same conclusion. 1500 damage, I could soak that easily. I'll just heal up and continue the smackdown. Good job, Wes, you beefed it. White Mage's killing power is so slow that Silence actually wore off. New plan, I'm just gonna defend and spam Cure and bait out self-destructs. Victory achieved. Next up is the Squatting Titan in Karnak. No easy outs this time, I'm simply going to beat that brain in. It really does help that Titan's massive forehead is an easy target. The occasional Cura to deal with an Earthshaker is all that I needed. Titan shaked his last Earth as the White Mages took him to Pound Town. One final meteor, the Chimera brain inside Gone. I put my flame rings on, because for once in my life, I got a clue. Ferris gets on Cura duty, everyone else is resuming the bonks. Aqua Breath isn't overly scary, and Frost is simply negated by flame rings. A victory here is inevitable. I mean, after Archeoavis, the rest of Bartz's world is simply a formality. I can't jump into that Meteor Convergence portal fast enough. Galoof's world has to have some new weapons for me, right? Right? I'm imprisoned for even suggesting a ludicrous thing like White Mages getting a real weapon or spells with damage. Galoof has come to bust me out, but by the time he beats Gilgamesh to death with his flail, I've already been let out for good behavior. Listen, there really isn't a whole lot to say. There's only so many ways I can tell you that I started the battle with Protect, and started spamming flail attacks and put one person on Cura duty. White mages are simply the most survivable job. Even though my damage output is about as atrocious as you could believe, they're true survivors. Outlasting everything. Maybe even the heat death of the universe at this point. Even with haste, Gilgamesh can't even dent me. Get killed, idiot. Gilgamesh gets gone again, and I'm barrier blasted to Ragol. New spells come to Papa! Blink and Shell. You've seen Blink from Ninja only. This just absorbs a few physical hits. Shell is Protect, but like, for magic. I'm gonna count myself blessed that I've gained even more survivability and no damage. Wait, hang on, that's a weapon shop. Oh, thank God. No new weapons. I was worried for a second there, but I will take the armor upgrades. High potions and Ragol are usually a staple of these runs, and I will take some because I was given a small loan of 2 million gil. I have no need of potions though. The cure spell will carry me to victory. Oh boy, this guy's got ether. I'm buying 99. Even more lasting power for long fights, which is all of them. Let's mosey. Moogle Man falling down the hole. Classic Lena. Yeah, let's go ahead and help him. Oh my god, blood slimes? I just can't kill them. Haha, JK, unless... What? You can just run from these fights the whole time? Why am I just now realizing this? That knowledge would have saved me some grief in these runs, let me tell ya, but I'm learning something new every single time. Tyrannosaurus Rex over here is harassing my little Moogle buddy. Ironically, I'm casting Raise to instantly kill it. Moogle rescued, and my passport stamped so I can get into that Moogle village. The dancing dagger is off the table, for better or for worse. Yes, I would actually love to use it at this point. Just phone up Kryl and get me the heck out of here, okay? I don't want to talk about it. The Windrake's dying? Couldn't I just, like, rip Cura and Asuna? No? Fine. I'll find the grass. Fine. Fine. Do one of you soldiers want to accompany with your swords? No? Fine. Fine. I'll just do everything myself. I'll take all of my rage out on this abductor. Nerve status calmed. For now. Oh, Kelb, of course! Those werewolves have never let me down. Especially not Kelgar of the Dawn Warriors. God, I love the Dawn Warriors so much. It's unreal. I mean that unironically, by the way. I actually love the trope that the old guys failed to stop the big bad, so the new guys gotta step up. Just like I'm gonna step up to the checkout counter. My wallet's open and the gil will flow freely, werewolf friends. Why don't you guys have a flail? Why can't I wear the strength gear? Okay, the power armlets are +3 strength. It's fine. I'm taking whatever I can get at this point. Drakenvale has been entered. My fate is sealed since no one's ever come back from here before. At the very least, zombie and bone dragons are undead. I can defeat them easily using the cure spell. Everything else, well, sometimes the old ways are best. But enough about all of that. I've summited the mountain. The dragon pod is here to try and stop me, but I have a feeling this is gonna go exactly one way. Just kidding. Enjoy a single iota of a strategy. The dragon flowers are scary because of their plethora of statuses, but I have Confuse. Worth a shot. Okay, it's back to bonking, everybody. Get back to bonking. I've got my angel rings back on to stop old, but I can't do much about anything else. Confuse is really just a mild inconvenience, since my white mages can't really damage my own party. Other statuses like paralysis are annoying, but what if they simply couldn't hit me? I will use Blink? Blink will negate a couple of attacks, and as long as I keep it up, the dragon flowers will never actually hit me, and that means no status effects. I'm just gonna maintain Blink while chipping tiny chunks off the dragon pod with my flails. Oh, come on, it's got natural regen? Beautiful. As if this fight wasn't already shaping up to be insanely long. Yeah, the dragon pod took me over an hour and costed me a surprising number of ethers. Thank God that I can buy more of them though. Yeah, let's get the heck out of here. I've taken so long, everyone's going to assume that I died. They'll be pleasantly surprised. I've saved Kryl's nameless Windrake. Score 1 point for Lena liking animals over Kryl since she actually named her Windrake. Add 1 more point for Lena getting poisoned. Sage Guido called. I answer. Surely he knows where I can get a new, superior flail. You'd rather sink his island than tell me, are you joshin'? There's gotta be a new weapon soon. Or some kind of damaging spell. Something. I didn't even bother checking out Sergei Castle. I just ran straight to the source. Zaza of the Dawn Warriors. He's got nothing. Gilgamesh attacks yet again. You know how this is gonna go. I'm gonna buff up with Protect and Shell, then proceed to beat Gilgamesh to death over the course of half an hour. My victory is inevitable. Right until Enkidu shows up. White Wind negates all of the damage that I've dealt. I was once a pious man, but my anger is reaching heights never before seen. Yeah, even above the Berserker. Green Flying Guy is simply one more monster to beat to death. The party's smacking Enkidu around while Lena heals all of the incoming damage by herself. White Wind for 2600 health. White Wind for 3000 health. Oh my god, Enkidu's gaining health. Another White Wind, are you joking? This is it, I'm hard stuck. Blue magic is coming in to ruin my life instead of making it super easy. Lena, you gotta get in on the damage train. It's the only chance I have. Especially when Discord and Slow are coming out again, not those two, come on. Lena and her goofy little flail are what made the difference. Enkidu's beaten to a pulp, and then Gilgamesh fell shortly after. Ha! You wish. Gilgamesh took another 6.5 minutes of relentless flailing around to beat. That fight was so terrible that I'm leaving Zaze's fleet to save. The barrier tower is going to be a nightmare, but I know that this is going to be the beginning of the end of my struggles. I can just feel it in these creaky old bones, just like Zaze's creaky homemade submarine. White mages don't need reflect rings because I will get reflect at some point. Oh boy, this damage in here is truly terrible. I really just need to get out of here, but there is a piece of gear that I do want. The gold hairpin is hidden in this trapped chest. 2 yellow dragons, surely this won't be too bad, right? Protecting shells on the gang, and oh my god, this is not going well. Kira is really starting to show its age here. It's still strong, but it's becoming harder and harder to keep up with the increasing damage output. Nope, too risky. Goodbye. Cheese it. Let's try that chest again. Oh, a single red dragon this time? That's a lot more convenient for me. Yeah, so apparently red dragons are actually undead, which means I can kill it with the cure spell. An increasingly rare undead encounter and a rare White Mage W. The gold hairpin is mine, and that means my dedicated healer's MP is going to last twice as long. It's so funny that all White Mage has gotten so far is just the ability to last longer. I don't need to last longer, okay? I just need to bust. Please let me bust. But I will be forced to edge a little longer because Atmos is here, and he needs to suck. Despite Galoof's absolutely massive health bar, he's knocked out cold by comets. Take a nap for a second, guy, while I enact my master plan. Shells on the whole party. Now you can get up, Galoof. Atmos will continually try and murder someone with space rocks, but my shielded up white mages can out-heal the damage. One white mage is spamming Cura, while the other 3 manage to whack off Atmos with their dinky little flails. Sub 50 damage sometimes, but occasionally I'm getting a big hit of 170, and that's a win. White mage outlasting is in full force. Atmos will gain a little ground when he double comets, but I can just put another white mage on cure duty to offset that damage. I did have to take a break from attacking to restore MP with ethers, but yeah, that's it. Atmos took almost 40 minutes, but Atmos is dying hungry tonight. Not a single party member got sucked into the great beyond. Zace is not a party member though. I'm taking the sub. I feel a forbidden power, but I hate that place, so I'm skipping it. Instead, I subbed straight up into more. The magic shop. I'm buying Curaga, Reflect, and Berserk. Man, still no damage. Wait, Berserk? Truly my love for you is like a truck after all. It's not conventional damage output, but I'll take whatever I can get at this point, which includes new armor and more. But the forest won't let me enter, so it's back to Sage Guido's cave after all. I'm picking up the Guardian branch from that stupid turtle and giving him a bonk on the way out. Okay, now I'm back into more. I have never been more excited to enter the forest because it contains my first weapon upgrade in 1,000 years. The mighty Morningstar. Don't laugh. Compared to a lowly flail, this may as well be the gosh darn Excalibur. But before I can get any usage out of it, Xstat sets the forest on fire. That's okay, I really didn't want to deal with this next part anyways. Those crystals can wait. I have even more weapons to acquire. I'm returning to my most hated area in the game, Sage Guido's cave. These greasy metamorphs hold the answer to all of my prayers. A quick berserk on the metamorph prevents it from transforming. Then I'm putting berserk on Bartz with his Morningstar. Sure, Galoof, you can get berserk too with your dinky little flail. The girls can play support and get the occasional brain bonk in too. Metamorphs have a rare drop, but only in their old man form. Really convenient that berserk stops them from transforming. Metamorphs will rarely drop a Staff of Light. This is a holy elemental staff that gives +2 magic. You can also smash it to cast holy. I've never actually used one of these before, but after a dozen fights, I finally got one. The second I took a swing with it, I almost wept tears of joy. 75% of the way through the game, white mages finally have a crumb of damage output. One Staff of Light is clearly not enough. I need one for each of my party members. Gotta love grinding rare drops. It took an hour and a half, but I have 5 now. I was on autopilot, okay? I didn't count every single one I got. White mages just went from a lowly Shrimpleton to Giga Chad in the course of one dungeon run. Time to test White Mage's newfound power on the crystals of Galoof's world. I'm loaded up with flame rings and headed into battle. Starting with Protect and Shell as usual. Now, show me your power, Staff of Light. 0 damage? Oh, come on, why? Why would you do this to me? White mages really can just never catch a break. Back to the flails, boys. Everyone get back to the flails. Bards, take the Morningstar. I'm working the Fire Crystal down to 50% health so it starts spamming Firaga, which my Flame Rings will then absorb. Once that's done, the fight's free. I really hoped that the Staff of Lights would speed this up, but the slow way is just par for the course on White Mage. Old Man Galoof's dusted by X-Death, and new Initiate Kryle's in her funny little cat pajamas. I'm heading straight into X-Death's castle for revenge, but not before the Dawn Warriors reveal the secrets. Ah, gross, man. Are those walls breathing? You'll be pretty shocked to hear, but since the enemies in X-Death's castle are not immune to holy damage, they get absolutely demolished by the Staff of Light. Except those stupid Reflect mages. God, why? Hang on. I have Reflect. If I Reflect Bards and bonk him, the judgmental power of light will kill the enemies. Simply genius. But that's a very slow way to get through this dungeon, even for White Mages. I'm back to the old ways again. Cheese it! I need to put Gilgamesh back in his place. He thinks that this is going to be a long fight, but he's about to be shocked by how Chadly my jaw is now. Hitting for a consistent 650 plus damage is shocking for White Mages. Gilgamesh's shenanigans are no use for Asuna. I've won decidedly. X-Death, I'm here for revenge. I don't even care what your plan is. Buffs ahoy! Protect and Shell are on, baby. Did you know that X-Death is super weak to holy damage? Probably not, because you can't really get holy attacks this early. Unless you grind for a Staff of Light, and I've got 4 of them! Slugging X-Death for 1800 damage a hit with White Mages was not on my bingo card, but I'm glad that this is the reality I'm in. If X-Death ever damages me, well, I've got Curaga. My White Mages are in the back row, with Protect up, getting double slugged by Vacuum Waves, and it barely puts a dent in me. 1 Curaga is all it takes to get them back up to full. X-Death is absolutely obliterated by the Staff of Light. Note to self, try out dual-wield Staff of Lights with X-Fight someday. That would probably be close to a 1-turn kill. Anyways, White Mage finally picked up some momentum. I was in and out of X-Death's castle in less than 15 minutes. That's a new record for sure. My damage problems are all over. I'm back home and I'm walking on sunshine, baby. Especially when I get to peep those bazongas. But as a man of the cloth, I must resist. Okay, it's too hard. I gotta get out of here. Boko, our pilgrimage continues. But I've fallen down a hole and some angry insects approach me. Don't make me laugh. I'm putting you in the jar and making you do Japanese bug fights. Sage Guido, I've come to talk to you about our Lord and Savior. X-Death? What? Anyways, those nerds in the ancient library want me to collect the tablets in the desert. That sounds pretty biblical to me, boss. I'm about to make these gargoyles look like a joke. Except they absorb holy damage. Oh, come on, man. Back to the flails, boys! Back to the flails! This is going to be very hard to take on these guys legitimately with such low damage output. But thank God they're easily tricked into a blind rage. Berserked gargoyles can't revive their partners. Double Berserk on the gargoyles and double Berserk on me! Ferris can sit there and spam heals while I eventually wear the gargoyles down with my lowly flails. Was worried I was actually gonna have to count for a second there. This was just back to slow and steady, a classic White Mage maneuver. I'm racing to the top for the tablet once again. I don't need the pyramid's treasures because, well, I'm rich! Hey, what's going on in the forest? Whoa, dude, what's happening with Kiryu's head? That's never happened before. It's a beautiful woman, my one weakness. Melusine starts as all fights start with White Mage. Loading up Protect and Shell. That should neuter most of her damage output. Now, the power of the Staff of Light. 0. Okay, I knew that was gonna happen, I knew it, but I was hopeful. I call upon you once again, Morningstar and lowly flails. One final time for you to shine, little guys. And you let me down again. 0 damage. The Morningstar can still hit pretty hard because of the Axe formula's defensive penetration. What else do you want me to say? I sat here wailing on Melusine through her barrier until she shifted weak to physical. And then I managed to bonk her to death. White Mage beating Melusine was never going to be an issue. It was just going to be a question of how long it was going to take. The answer was 32 minutes. Lena's back in, and the gang's on the airship just in time to dodge the slurpening. I flew straight to Kuza and dropped off my tablet in exchange for the one weapon I can actually use, the Sage Staff. This boosts Holy, which I don't actually have yet. Next up, of course, is the Flame Lash. And I don't need the Assassin's Dagger, so I'm taking the Yoichi Bow since it's right here. I'm done with Kuza, forever. Now, Boko, give me a quick ride behind Isri for the magic lamp. Alright, thanks, Guy. You can return to your family now. I am once again entering Phantom Village. First up is the secret magic shop for Arise and Dispel. I'm only missing the final white magic spell now. Next up is the armor shop. I'm loading up on black robes. Gee whiz, shouldn't white mages want white robes? No, they want intelligence. I don't need more survivability. Next is the accessories shop, and yeah, 4 times Hermes sandals with Lamia's tiaras. That barely dented my funds, and I'm loaded up with permanent haste, along with immunity to stop, paralyze, slow, and confuse. Thanks Hermes sandals and Lamia tiara. Surprisingly, there's even more shopping to do. I'm buying another 3 morning stars from the weapon shop. All of my white mages now have 2 weapon options. For anything immune to holy damage, there's the morning stars. If holy's on the table, well, Staff of Light it is. Now I'm rescuing the Black Chocobo to get the heck out of Phantom. Holy in the Fork Tower calls, but first I have to deal with the Island Shrine. The Gargoyle Guardians are getting berserked, and then my party's getting berserked. Having everyone equipped with morning stars is making a heck of a lot of difference. Not to mention haste's double turns. I really am dead serious that if Mithril Flails existed in Karnak, or white mages at least could use daggers, I'd be like 10 levels lower at this point, easily. Regardless, the Island Shrine is a big joke, and beating Wendigo is merely a formality. All I need to do is work down the line, and I'll eventually slug the real Wendigo with my Staff of Light. 600 damage of swing isn't that impressive for most jobs, but for white mage, it's a godsend. Wendigo barely attacked, and when he did, he tried Confuse and Mind Blast, both of which cause statuses that I'm immune to. Hurricane landed on Lena, and I had to use Curaga just before Wendigo bit it. Congratulations, I had to heal 1 time. I'm picking up tablet number 2 and unlocking the Fork Tower. I've never been more giddy to run up that wacky tower. Bart's and Kryl up the right tower, and those Tycoon sisters are up the magic tower. Omniscient would normally be a concern, but I know from my 19 playthroughs, as soon as I beat Minotaur, I get Holy. That means I can blast Omniscient to next week with Holy. And you know, white mages also have Reflect. Here's the Minotaur of the hour, holding my precious prize. Not being able to use my white magic is barely a concern. I'm in the back row and those Staff of Lights are healing him. Whoops. Weapon status swapped. I've got more than enough high potions and elixirs to keep my team alive. Cute kitty Jammy Jams Kryl is throwing high potions while Bartz does his darndest to beat Omniscient to death with the Sage Staff? I guess it's not Holy Elemental, and it is slightly better damage than the Morning Star. Who knew? Couldn't possibly have been me. Minotaur dies and he fails to cast Holy. But I'm definitely not going to fail to cast Holy. That's my bread and butter from this second onwards. Alright, Tycoon sisters, get Shell on and begin holying. What do you mean I can't use it? Oh, right, Bartz and Kryl have it, but they're way over there in the other tower. I guess I have to use my only out. I'm buffing up with Protect and Blink, and unleashing the Muscle Wizard again with Berserk. Now when I hit Omniscient, it won't trigger Return, but I've got to deal with the relentless castings of Fist. I'm gonna Berserk Lena for this too. It should speed up the fight just a little bit. Ferris is just gonna sit there and spam Blink whenever the shadows start to fade. That's Omniscient completely dusted. Not how I expected it to go, but a win's a win. The Fork Tower collapses and the party's back together. The worst of white mage is behind us. I have the final white magic spell. This is the first, last, and only damaging spell that I get. Holy. Which is actually boosted Holy because of the Sage Staff. The Staff of Lights are also +2 magic, so that's a little baby booster too. I've found my damage output, and my massive survivability is still here, so finishing out the rest of this run is merely a formality. If every other job can beat this game spamming high potions, white mage's insane buffs and healing will absolutely crush it. The Undersea Trench is completely free. The gargoyles are berserked and Morningstarred to death. The unknowns inside the trench would normally be kind of scary, and I thought I'd just blast them with the Cure spell, but the Staff of Lights are wrecking them just like they wrecked X-Death. No need for spells. Down to the bottom, those 3 little gremlins in a trench coat are getting completely destroyed. They're undead, and that sounds like a job for Curaga, my dudes. I would be ripping Holy, but I can't target all Holy. A few rounds of Curaga on them and myself, and I've won. Bye-bye, little gremlins. Time to bounce straight out of the trench, straight into Istri Falls. Another battle of berserked Morningstars, and the last gargoyles are finished. Good riddance. Snagging the tablet and watching Red Guy get destroyed. I've got my coral rings on for Leviathan, and it's finally time to check out Holy. 3,500 to 4,000 damage a hit. Very respectable. Holy's single target only, but at this point I sure as heck ain't complaining. Leviathan sees the light, and it's over. The rest of the Merged World optional content goes how you'd expect. I stared down Gogo until he gave up the Mind Shard. Ooh, that's coming up next. The only thing, and I mean the only thing that I had trouble with was Odin. This is specifically because Odin absorbs holy damage and I have a time limit. My lowly Morningstars even with haste were just not enough to cut through his 17,000 HP. That's like, what, only 4 or 5 castings of Holy? But because he absorbs my only real damage type, I have to resort to those stupid Morning Stars. I tried beating Odin like 7 times. White Mage at this point just can't beat Odin. Thank God he's optional, right? A brief foray into the Phoenix Tower. It was no problem spamming Holy, who could have guessed? Bahamut's up next. I'm opening up with Reflect on the party, and then the barrage of Hasted Holies come out. Hasted Holy is disgusting, by the way. Bahamut got a single Poison Breath off before he was raptured from existence. That's it. I'm sitting at level 49. Keep in mind that that's 2 levels for everything post-Byblos. I was level 47 when I beat him, remember? It's time to cash out my winnings. A return to Phantom Village to spend my remaining 1.1 million gil. I'll take maxed out consumables and 23 elixirs. That should be enough to get through the game, right? The Interdimensional Rift. I foresee no problems with the Monsters of the Void now that I've been blessed by Holy. I'm speeding this along because there's nothing that I care to pick up. Big Blue Woman Califasteri jumps me. No, please, I'm a man of the cloth. She knows the shtick, so she's opening up with Reflect. Oh my god, my one weakness. Except I have Reflect, so I'm putting it on Kryl. We Magus Sisters now, boys. I'm blasting Holies on Kryl left and right, and they're getting reflected onto Califasteri. She did some spell counter shenanigans, but she's completely obliterated before long. White Mage has finally decided to pick up the pace. A Panda's up next. I have one strategy, and that's blasting Holy all over the place. Except a Panda likes to counter magic with Toad and Drain. That's easily remedied though. Wind Slash, how cute. I'll use a rare Cure 3, something I've barely had to touch so far. Little Brother Byblos was a nightmare, but White Mage made a Panda look like a complete joke. Moving straight into the dungeons to face off against the Blue Mage, Azul Magia. Go on then, do your worst. I'm not even bothering buffing anymore. Hasted Holies are destroying everything in sight. Oh my god, not roulette! You whiffed, you doofus! Holy never whiffs though. Goodbye. Could the horrific Catastrophe pose a threat? Earthshaker does sub 1000 damage, and Curaga heals for 1500 on the whole party. So no, he doesn't. I'll shell up for safety just in case though. The Holy spam resumes. Earthshaker number 2 is sub 400 damage. Woof. The biggest threat here is myself. I casted Holy on Bartz by accident instead of ripping Curaga on my party. Gotta love cursor memory. Anyways, Catastrophe gets completely destroyed. Demon Eye even whiffed. Easy game, easy life. Halicarnassus and her big smooches are up next. Ribbit, huh? Well, I've got some maiden kisses for that, and this time I'm not gonna run out. If this fight does go on too long, she's gonna use Holy on me. But can she survive the dozen Holies I get off before she even tries? No, of course not. Next is Twintania. Twintania is weak to Holy, so you know how this is gonna go. All I gotta do is cocoon up with Reflect, and then begin the Hasted Holy spam. Holy hits for about 8,000 damage. He counters with Mega Flare and reflects it onto himself for 4,000. This is not a position anyone wants to be in. I told you that this was merely a formality. I've entered the Crystal Dimension. Gilgamesh blocks my path, but you should just exit on stage right, my guy. Now for the second biggest potential problem, the Necrophobe. Permanent Reflect on the barriers means I need an out. I think we're gonna resort to Magus Sisters, but first things first is shell on everybody. And since I know Phase 2 is a physical slugfest, I'm gonna get Protect up too. With shell on, Curaga is more than enough to keep everyone alive through the barrage of magic. Now to do some damage, and yeah, we're doing Magus Sisters. Kitty Cat Kryl is becoming the Reflect Patsy, and I'm throwing Holies on her to reflect onto the barriers. 3,600 damage means I only need 3 Holies to kill a barrier. The problem is that the targeting is randomized. Oh well, I've got nothing but time in case you forgot. I blew apart the back barrier first, while eating sub 500 damage Holy and Flares. Necrophobe's really not even trying this time. Kryl's Reflect wore off, and I hit her with Holy a few times, but even my boosted Holies weren't enough to kill her with Shell on. A little bit hilarious. The party's healed up and Reflex back on. That's the second barrier down, as well as number 3. Now it's just a 50-50 to hit Necrophobe or the final barrier. The last Holy eventually lands in the right spot. Necrophobe himself is a big joke. I've got Protect and I'm in the back row. Flash just coolifies the gang as I proceed to blast him with 7,500 damage Holies. He hits me for 700 damage a round total. Gilgamesh is here and he blows up on Necrophobe, stealing my obvious and free kill. This has been a long time coming. It's finally time to end this challenge run. Level 49 is on the top end of these runs, and that's all thanks to Byblos. If White Mage had any other damage options, I'm sure it'd be a contender for lowest level job, and that's not an exaggeration. X-Death once again tries to slurp up the world, but Ghost Dads are here to tell him to knock it off. A classic dad maneuver. Straight into the battle, and Exdeath opens up with a sucker punch. I'm not afraid. Shell across the board. Another sucker punch? He's just begging me to put on Protect, but I refuse. The back row's enough. The hasted holy spam begins. Lena's putting in the effort to buff Blink onto the team. Bartz did not like that. Should have slowed down a little bit. Good old cursor memory targeting in full force. Whoops. Anywho, let's get Lena back up. Arise, chicken, arise. Bartz puts Shell back on Lena as an apology. Fully healed up, I'm gonna play conservatively and really get Blink on everybody this time. We've been in this run for a literal eternity, so what's just a little bit longer? Fully blinked up, and finally there's a white hole. Dude, sick. Arise into Asuna. Another white hole. Arise into Asuna. It's like deja vu. I really just gotta get out of this phase, man. Slam those holies, everybody. Bartz has the Sage Staff, and it seems like it's boosting Holy even further beyond. 5,000 damage a hit. Welcome to Holy Hell, Exdeath. Tree form just can't take it. A newer, more neoer Exdeath vibrates in. I choose to open up with 3 rips on the lamp as usual. Mega Flare, Tsunami, and finally Zantetsuken. Sayonara, lady in the back. White Mage's magic stat is so high that Mega Flare and Tsunami also hit like a mini Holy. You'll love to see it. The big beefy man and his vacuum waves are still scary, but I'll just neuter him with party-wide Blink. Now the holy spam resumes. I'm starting with the part in the back. Well, Almagust is here. Nice try, Exdeath, but Holy is my element of choice. Shell significantly reduces its effectiveness, and everyone survived. They were promptly restored with a double Curaga. The hasted holy spam resumes. I've got it out for the back part. It's going down first, and it's dead. Well, that's no more Grand Crosses to worry about. Not even one showed up. All that's left is Almagust and Vacuum Waves. Neither of which are a real issue. I have Protect in the back row with Blink, and then I have Shell for Almagust. Not to mention I've got Curaga on demand. To say this fight's in the bag is a complete understatement. All I have to do is maintain Blink charges, then alternate hitting the top and bottom parts with Holy. I might have to throw an Elixir every so often to restore some MP. For once in White Mage's existence, this is a fast fight. The top part dies and then I eat a Meteor. I'm never gonna dodge that phase, am I? Lena did not survive, but you know what? Arise is a pretty good spell. I'm using Curaga to get everyone back up. Vacuum Wave whiffs, and here's Maelstrom. But I've got some more Curagas for that. Cryle is officially out of MP, but she can still attack. I'm gonna smash that extra Staff of Light. Exdeath's last part was obliterated by its holy power. That's Final Fantasy V completed using exclusively White Mages. Final Fantasy V using exclusively White Mages was completed in a grueling 1 day, 10 hours, 42 minutes, and 19 seconds. That's grinding with boost features at 4 times there, folks. It would be incredibly rough to do this in a pre-boosted world. I've harped on neglected weapon classes for a long time in these videos, but staves really do have it the worst of all of them. You get one borderline useless staff at the start of the game, and then you get flails and Karnak. That's it, until you're almost done with Gloof's world. You can finally pick up a Morning Star in Moor Forest. If you want anything more than that, you gotta grind for a rare drop in Sage Guido's cave. But Staff of Lights are truly disgusting. Maybe that is just me judging it on a bell curve. Exdeath's Holy Element weakness is very difficult to exploit, but Staff of Lights crushed him easily. That was a big relief. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Before I took a swing at that Staff of Light, I thought I was going to have to farm dozens of them and resort to Rod Smashes. Thankfully, I didn't have to. Except for that Rod Smash at the end. That was mostly just for style points. A great weight was lifted off of my shoulders the second I saw the basic whack damage on the Staff of Light. And that really did mark the challenge mostly being over. As soon as I had any damage output at all, White Mage went from mid-tier to S-tier immediately. That's right, White Mage couldn't ever possibly be in bottom tier. Long fights suck, but that's where White Mage truly thrives. In Final Fantasy V, the damage-dealing jobs outnumber support jobs like 5 to 1. The only jobs that truly struggle are the ones that don't have any damage output at all. They also usually have horrific supporting abilities. Oh, Bard! Oh. By virtue of having the Cure spell, White Mage is immediately a cut above most jobs, even with their horrendous damage output. The Soul Cannon is a joke if you can just laugh and cure through his wave cannons. The fight is completely free and brainless, even if it takes you 40 minutes to win. It's the exact same thing immediately after with Arcuavis. If White Mages could just equip daggers, or if there was a Mithril Flail available in Karnak, I would not have been forced to grind an absurd amount to have a stat block and item stockpile to run Byblos out of MP. By the end of that massive grind session, I was just at endgame levels, and nothing could outlast me. You just have to stay awake for fights that can take you upwards of an hour. When you're playing casually, Final Fantasy V fully expects you to have a white mage in your party at all times. Having access to Protect and Cure trivializes almost all of World 1. And then when Shell comes into play, it helps solve a bunch more fights in Gloof's world. That's not even getting into the other statuses or buffs like Blink. White Mage only ever struggles when it's solo, because you're never expected to use exclusively White Mages since every other job represents damage. When you have White Mage, plus any other job, you have what's known as a balanced party, and that's often pretty darn good. Once you get Holy at the Fork Tower, White Mage is the complete package. You've suddenly got incredible defense and offense. Except when something that absorbs Holy shows up, which is surprisingly common in the merged world. Borderline nothing resists or absorbs fire magic, by the way. Whoops! That marks challenge run 20 complete. White Mage was the last real job. Despite technically being a water crystal job, Mime and Freelancer are effectively two sides of the same jobless coin. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time for the dramatic conclusion of Backlog Buster's Single Job Challenge series.